Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in again to another episode of CivilianTacticalWeapons.com. Today's episode is actually going to be the in-studio discussion on the AKs. We have the Vepr AK over here, which was actually imported by Robinson Arms back in '04. And then we have the new Arsenal AKs, which are actually, the Saigas, which are actually imported by Arsenal AK. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about these guns. The Arsenal AK is a 7.62. The Vepr is a 545 model. But if you look at the designs, they both hold true very close to the, pretty much they're all within AK specs. There are a couple differences between these guns, and we'll go ahead and talk through these. The biggest difference is getting a 545 of the Vepr is pretty much damn near impossible. The price differences between them are also a little different. This particular Saiga, although they do make other models, this is a stamped model versus what we refer to as a milled model. The milled models are actually significantly more. They can actually cost double the price. This one here, you're looking at a price range of anywhere from about $700 to $800, depending on where you're getting it from. The 7.62x39, it actually is a very accurate gun as far as AKs go. The sight systems on here actually have sighting out to 1,000 yards. Realistically, I don't know, maybe some of you have a little bit more experience with this, but I don't think realistically you're going to be hitting a human-sized target at 1,000 yards. But the sights are there. On the Vepr, they actually just mark them out to 300 yards, which is actually more of a realistic engagement range with an AK. The parts of this gun are actually made very well. Couple complaints I have on it is inside the lower, the actual hammer, if it actually would go down, it would stay down just, let's say if they improve this by just having the hammer go down maybe another 1/4 of an inch, perhaps, it actually won't cause you to actually have to create any force. And I'll show you the difference between this and the Vepr. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the whole bolt back on. And as you can see, I can't actually, it doesn't just fall down very smoothly, as you'll see in the Vepr does. I have to actually push down on the back, and the reason why is because that hammer is actually pushing up against the bolt here, so I have to actually push down with a little bit of force back here so that I can go ahead and slide forward. It's not actually a lot of force, you just see that's not quite as smooth. The other thing that's kind of strange is the spring system is actually a double spring. So there's actually two pieces of metal here. So it's not a tube in a tube, almost like a piston type design. It's actually two rings. I don't know if you can get a good close-up of this or not. But what happens is it's just like two. Just think of two rectangles that are interlocked with each other. That's the best way of describing how this spring was designed. In fact, you can see the bend there. I mean, I'm bending at 90 degrees, but I'm not actually damaging it at all. That's just the way that, that's the connection point of the two. Just think of it as long rectangles. Couple things I do like about this a lot is, one, the parts are not like the Vepr. The Vepr has parts where you can't actually interchange them. So this one here you can interchange. Everything from the stock design. This is actually a typical AK stock design. We had extreme difficulty trying to get the stock. I was actually going to put the Tapco one on this one, but we couldn't get it for the video in time. What we can actually do is you can actually remove these. The Veprs have proprietary ones. I think there's one company that makes a very interesting stock block to allow you to do it, but it's nowhere near as the commonality you have with the Arsenal. So if we look at comparing that to a couple points on the Vepr, as you can see, slides in. I mean, I'm not putting any force on it. It slides right in perfect. And this is because the actual trigger group actually sits in such a way that it doesn't actually require me to use any force. In fact, as you can see, it slides in rather smoothly. The other thing too, one of the most noticeable differences here is look at the way this little piston thing's designed. It's actually there's no way this thing is going to be able to bend 90 degrees. You've got this collapsing motion is actually going right into it, which is not the case here. The other case is you just have the two triangles just kind of pushing against each other. It's a little different. I don't know if this actually helps the Vepr a little bit with accuracy and recoil, but I have noticed just a little bit more accuracy with this gun. However, it is a smaller caliber, so that also has to play into effect. The components on the Vepr, in general, they seem to actually fit a little better. I haven't had any problems with these parts. The action is very smooth. There's actually no catch at all. So when I come completely back, it's a completely smooth action. For those of you who may have some of the other AKs, what I do want to mention here is you are looking at a gun here that's actually readily available. I actually like it. I don't like it quite as much as the Vepr, but since you can't really get the Vepr anymore, this is an excellent AK alternative. As far as reliability, it's very reliable. It shoots very accurately, as you can see from the range shoot that we did a couple weeks ago. And actually just a fairly well-made gun. And for the price point that you're looking at, you know, this is actually a really solid option. Some people ask, well, would I get an AK over an AR? No, an AK is not going to be your first gun. An AK is going to be an additional follow-up gun after you already have your AR design. I wouldn't get this as my first gun, but as far as getting this, everyone in their collection should have some form of an AK. I mean, they're just a really cool gun to have. And this is actually a very good option for people who are interested in getting a modernized AK. So if you have any questions, please email me at info@civiliantacticalweapons.com, and I hope to see you in a future episode.